Good afternoon, Jeopardy fans. This is hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel presented by the JeopardyFan.com. Once again, I am Andy Saunders, and I will be moderating the discussion. We've got a bit of a small panel this afternoon, but still just as fun. Both returning to our panel, I have David Kendall entering the Audition Dome, and of course, Kansas City is it's now 10 days away for your audition, Dave, and
Yes, it is.
mine is 11, and also we've got Kristen Sauceville joining us once again, of course. If you were following that hashtag, Kristen, of course, agreed, I would say, about the Harry Potter tattoo thing I brought up last week, the question that fell completely
Right.
flat on its face on last
No
week's
tattoo.
question.
Yeah.
No tattoos, but most likely, I guess, to pick up somehow a lightning bolt on the
Right.
forehead to combat the Dark Lordness that was Darren. But yeah, first up, I guess we can get right into discussing this past week. Hey, Brendan ran the table. Kristen, I'm sure you can talk about how difficult it might be to win 5 games in one day. So, how impressive of an accomplishment would you say that would be for Brennan?
I've been really impressed by him this week.
But yeah, I guess you're looking forward to competing against him now, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean he's still active. We don't know how much longer his run is going to go, too. That's kind of exciting.
We've had a lot of TLC enters lately too. So
Yeah, there was like a big drought for a long time, and Alex Jacob was saying, I think on Twitter, just or Twitter or Jboard, I can't remember, but everybody was saying it was going to be such a small group and they were going to have to dip down to a lot of three-timers, and no, I mean, there have been a whole bunch of us just this spring and summer now.
I know, looking back at J Archive, actually, I would say who was the first? Yeah, Vaughn Winchell.
Vaughn, Elliot, and John were all in January, and then there was
Yeah.
and then me in March, and then there's been a whole bunch of people since then. Pretty much all of whom have done better than I have too. So I've been watching my name go down.
well, you had 5 or 6 wins, was it?
5.
5, okay.
Yeah, but I didn't have as much money as a lot of people who've won 5 or even 4 times too. So yeah, usually like we've had a lot of 5-time winners, but even by their 4th win, they've passed me on money. So yeah.
Are you worried that they're gonna have 16 5-time champions and you're gonna become the alternate or something?
I'm like, it's getting kind of unnerving watching my name slide down. Yeah.
Well, I still think the rumor that if you're 5-time, you're guaranteed in the TLC no matter what holds true. So
I would hardly say no matter what, David.
Well,
there are things you can do to get yourself kicked out of a tournament of champions after having won 5 games.
As it turns out,
fine,
a problem for me, but yeah. They specifically say that on the paperwork it says 5 wins doesn't guarantee anything. They don't owe you anything for winning 5 times, which I guess is their escape clause if they get another incident like that. But yeah, I'm feeling good about my chances, but it is kind of like, oh, that person did better than me, and that one, and that one.
I think they might, at the very worst, kick you to next year's TLC, yeah. But then you got to pray that they don't have a big run of 5-time champs either.
Right.
But I think you also have an ace in the hole, Kristen, with your one-player Final Jeopardy that went viral and got the show so much publicity. People will say, "Oh, I remember the lady who had a one-player Final Jeopardy. I want to see her." So I think you got your ace in the hole there.
What they may also do is they may also arbitrarily set a cutoff of, we'll cut it off here once we have 15. If we have enough 5-timers to fill a field, they may just arbitrarily cut it off.
And that's something that I've been wondering about because I have to wonder, the last tournament, if Jerry Slowick hadn't had his issue, then Mark Japingo would have been the alternate, and you would have had an entire tournament that was nothing but 5 or more times, like no 4-time winners. And I have to wonder if maybe they think that went on too far and that they should have cut it off sooner.
Wasn't
And
the first TLC all 5-timers as well?
That
I'm
is
not
in
sure.
fact the case.
They,
That's actually why the current tournament of champions has 15 players in it, because there was the season 1 had exactly 15 5-time champions, and so
I just thought it was easily divisible by 3 because they need 3 people in the matches and 5 days of the week.
no, it just happened to work out that way, and it has been a very fortuitous coincidence that the math works out so well, because what I believe happened, they actually sat down and said, okay, we have 15 players, how do we get a winner? And then the format just worked itself out from there.
I heard it was Alex Trebek who came up with the tournament format himself to have the 5 quarterfinals and then have the 5 winners and then 4 wild cards, and then you have the semifinals and finals from there. Yeah. It's interesting though, because like if you read the press releases that have come out every time somebody goes on a big run, a couple of them have dropped references to a 2015 Tournament of Champions or Tournament of Champions coming up next season, or they'll even name some specific big winners. So and then if you watch Winner's Circle interviews, I think Dan's, I want to say, he said that they had mentioned that maybe the next tournament was going to be in the fall. So we'll just have to wait and see.
When's the next sweeps period? November?
November, yeah. And Justin's Tournament of Champions aired in November, and it filmed at the end of September. So
it would make sense to have it during sweeps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe tape September and air in November.
Yeah, that's kind of unnerving to think about, because September is coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I know for people who are auditioning during this set, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not we're going to actually, for those people who happen to have a really good audition and end up being called really early in season 32, whether or not they would be, which tournament they'll be which they may be part of. And I'm not sure which, if things happen to go really, really well, not that they will, but would I want to be a part of, the tournament with Vaughn and Kristen and Alex, or would I rather be following?
You never know who's going to come along, though. I mean, people will probably look at our tournament and say, oh, well, last year you had Arthur and Julia and that big showdown, and I don't know if we have anybody who's quite captured national attention like those two did.
Well, as I pointed out, your single player Jeopardy was one of the social media worthy moments of this season, anyways.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but I didn't go into double-digit wins. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely say Ben, Julia, and Arthur was the showdown I think the show really wanted to see, and
yeah. Then the one before that had Colby and Stephanie, and the one before that had Roger Craig, and
don't forget Jason Keller.
Jason Keller, yep.
Yes, he won a bunch of games as well. But so let's see. You're welcome to plead the fifth on this one, Kristen. But what would you say Brennan's weaknesses might be?
The only thing that comes to mind is that he's very young, so I wonder if maybe slightly older pop culture might be a weakness.
I might actually agree with that, especially after he missed the Cisco Daily Double. Especially not picking up on the reference to the lovely war song from the 70s, the Cisco Kid. But
yeah, no. On the other hand, maybe he's an expert at it and totally shouldn't study it. Yeah, that's it.
David, what do you think his weaknesses might be?
To be honest, I don't know. I've been watching him, and he just seems to answer a lot of the questions, so I hadn't really picked up on a weakness, at least none that was There were categories that were complete dogs for everybody there. So if he had a weakness, everybody had the same weakness. So it was kind of hard to pick up on what his actual weakness was. But there was a few times that he could have easily been caught, like I'm sure we're going to be talking about later on Friday. So he has his weaknesses. He can be beaten. It's just for now he hasn't. But it's way too early to think of him as some really good super champ with no weaknesses or anything. It's way too early for that.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say that I've definitely noticed is that Brennan definitely seems to do better in double Jeopardy than single Jeopardy, which means to me that he has very, his knowledge base might be very suited to a Tournament of Champions level boards. So,
doing good in double Jeopardy is the key to winning the game, really. I mean, that's where all the money is, and that's if you can do good in double Jeopardy, you've won the game pretty much.
But he also
recover from real bad deficits in single Jeopardy to go on to a runaway lock.
Yeah,
there you go. I thought you might have had that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, -200 after the first single Jeopardy round, and that's when Alex comes around and takes your picture, and I feel like in my Jeopardy picture he looks like a little bit patronizing, like, oh, you're in the red. Oh,
that's when you take the picture. It's between rounds.
Yeah, it's between rounds. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought it was before the game started for some reason.
No, it's between single and double.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And so I feel like he's kind of smirking at my score in our picture.
It's like kind of like, you'll get better. I'm sure you'll get better.
Better on the head.
Himself is like.
Yeah, I'm just glad I was able to smile because I was feeling really angry at myself and really embarrassed at that point. And I was like, no, this is your picture with Alex. You have to rally just for this,
Of course, that would explain why, if you're on the J-board and you've seen Ian's picture, he's all happy. Because he was leading real well at the end of Single Jeopardy in his round. So.
And then, of course, Brennan made his comeback, and he definitely tends to get. Looks like he does better on the on the $1,600 and $2,000 level clues, at least just looking at the archive to me. But that's so I think he'll acclimatize very well to TOC level material.
Yeah, so. Again, as I was saying, double Jeopardy is the key to winning, and also knowing when to clam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know when I play along at home, if I have way too many clams, my Koryat tanks. So I know, okay, gotta be.
And yes, I think that's a perfect segue to this week in Jeopardy history, because David, you just mentioned Koryat scoring, and back on this week in 1996, there was a season 4. Yeah, back in 1996, thereabouts, was the Jeopardiversary of somebody who is well known to hardcore fans of the show. Mr. Carl Koryat won a couple of games, did very well before, much like Ken Jennings, falling to a business and industry Final Jeopardy. Between Koryat and Ken Jennings and a couple of other people, that's why I always like to say that business is the great equalizer when it comes to Final Jeopardy. But yes, his anniversary, the anniversary of his show is coming up this week. Of course, best known these days for coming up with Koryat scoring. If you haven't heard of it, it is the J Archive describes it as a player's score if all wagering is disregarded. In the Koryat score, there is no penalty for forced incorrect responses on daily doubles, but correct responses on daily doubles earn only the natural value of the clues, and any gain or loss from the Final Jeopardy round is ignored. The idea being that you can actually gauge your performance compared to those or other people, compared to the contestants. Also, at some point, I believe Jeannie and maybe Keith Williams are working on what is Koryat scoring. So you may be interested in checking that video out at some point. I think that is a project that is still going on. Speaking about, I guess, something else we've also mentioned already. I would say that Brennan did very well his first few games and then made a couple of great escapes Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Would you all now also the great escapes in terms of his opponents might not have bet as well as they could have?
No,
After seeing betting on Thursday and Friday, how underrated do we think betting strategy is?
I think that, betting strategy is what really made the difference on Friday. And I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt badly because that category had been going horribly, and then the daily double is in the bottom clue. But I mean, if you don't think you're going to know, if you're trying to balance not knowing it versus trying to take the lead at the end of the game, you wager $5 or you try to take the lead. And I don't understand choosing something in the middle.
That's exactly what I was wondering too. I mean, I am terrible at wagering strategy, and I know when I get on the show, I'm going to be sending out a full batch of citations to the wagering police because I know that they'll need them. But when I looked at that, I figured, okay, well, they're bombing the category. My bet would have been $5.
Yeah, that's probably what mine would have been too. Yeah, or if you're gonna wager the 2,000, why not the 2,400 or whatever it was that would have put her in the lead?
I didn't see the 2,400 until I was watching Keith's video and he pointed it out. But after that, yeah, it made sense. But yeah, just $5 screamed in my head. And, why 2,000? Was it because it was a $2,000 coup? Makes no sense.
I didn't get it, no. And I'm somebody who, like, when, I auditioned, I was horrible at wagering strategy, too. I had to sit down every single game, pause it, and try to work the numbers out for myself. So it can be learned. I can give you hope on that. It can be learned.
I was just going to say, that would probably, if you're doing that every single game, working out the best wagering for each and every person, then, yeah, that would be really good practice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to channel a rather famous football coach, Mr. Herm Edwards, at this point, and one of his great 2002 sound bites, namely, you play to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
You don't play it to just play it. You play to win.
Yep.
And, yeah, that's pretty much what you got. I would say, regardless of how those categories have gone, you play to win, and you've got to have faith in your abilities to get the final Jeopardy at that point. Put yourself in your own. I should say, put yourself in control of your own destiny in final, and
it was a triple get. If they had all, if she had taken the lead, she would have won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming she had wagered to cover. But pretty much everybody at least figures that out.
Yes, though her final Jeopardy wager also, in my opinion, left a little bit to be desired, and of course,
I think second place is the worst place to wager from, though, because you have to weigh whether or not you're gonna try to get it, hope that you can get it right, or if you're gonna bet on them getting it wrong. It's if you're betting on just the winner getting it wrong, or if you're betting on yourself and the leader getting it wrong, and then you have to worry about third place coming up. And I think second is just the worst place to wager from.
Yeah,
I don't think this discussion should be left though without stating the fact that really bad wagers have won the game. A lot of really bad wagering still wins the game. So to answer your original question of how important is wagering, it can sometimes not mean anything because, again, people can wager horrendously and still pull out a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, interestingly enough, we've had Dan Feitel on the show who has said that precise same thing, that yes, my wagering was terrible.
He was the one who went all in all the time, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yes. This was...
And when Sarah McNitt was making the Just Wager 4,000 site for April Fool's Day, I went back and I looked at my games, and if I had wagered 4,000 every single time, it would not have changed the outcome. It would not have changed whether I won or lost. It would have made a difference in terms of the money. It would have been a lot less money, but it wouldn't have changed the win-loss record.
Interestingly enough, if Sarah happens to be watching this at any point, I am definitely, thanks to that, I am definitely going to give thought to wagering 4,000 every single time. Whether I choose to or not is a different matter, but the number 4,000 will cross my mind every single time I have a wager in front of me. It's like, can I safely wager 4,000 here? If I do, if I can, I probably will.
Yeah. Poor Keith.
Yes, I would definitely, yes. I would say just wager 4,000 is one of my more favorite April Fool's jokes.
Yes, she was brilliant for putting that together.
So, moving on to, I guess, the interview portions. Alex asked Megan, I believe, on Thursday this week if she brought cookies to the green room. After being like, you're a mechanical engineer. I don't care about that. I care about cookies.
Yeah.
Did you bring cookies? Would you consider bringing cookies to the green room?
I would not, but just because I was very conscious of the fact that carbs make me sleepy. And, the green room
He was too, maybe that's
so
what you brought him to the green room.
Kristen, I have an idea. I have an idea, Kristen.
Yeah.
This is why you bring cookies, much like Faith Love proffered tuna salad as the Tournament of Champions alternate. The idea being that give everyone else the cookies and make them sleepy with all the carbs.
The green room is actually stocked pretty well with snacks. It has like a lot of. I think there are cookies. There are a lot of crackers and granola bars and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't take any, but the green room definitely had a lot of snacks in it.
That's good to know. So I guess there's no real need to bring in, cookies to share with everyone else.
It's very cold in there though. They have like a mini fridge with water bottles in it, and one of my tape days the water bottles actually froze inside the refrigerator. It is really cold in the green room.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring a sweater.
I've heard that the set itself too is cold.
Yes. The set is very cold when you're on stage under the lights. It's not so bad, especially because you're nervous then too. But the rest of the set is very cold.
Yes. Again, cold relative for Canadians here.
Yeah.
Compared to Los Angeles and
Right.
Yeah, compared to Los Angeles, right?
It's noticeable. I'd say it's probably like low 60s or so. Yeah.
So yes, if you are not a fan of cold or need to be cognizant of the fact that it is cold and you're, of course, going on the show at some point, yes, be aware the studio is cold.
Bring a sweater. Yes.
Let's see. And of course, that says nothing of the fact that they may even not let you bring cookies into the studio.
Yeah.
When you get there, I don't know if they would have let you bring that or not, because you get there and you go through like a metal detector and you have to put like any bags that you bring, you have to put on like one of those conveyor belt things that like is at the airport, and you go through the screening or whatever. But I don't know. Nobody brought food as I remember, so I have no idea if it's allowed or not.
So that might be why Alex mentioned it, because this is something that's very rare.
Yeah, or he wouldn't even be aware of it because his prep area is completely separate. He's not
of course.
in any way, shape, or form. So he probably has no clue. Like he's probably never even been in the green room. Yeah.
I think he may have come in the green room to talk to the Kids Week he may go in to talk to the Kids Week contestants.
Yeah, there we go.
I seem to recall hearing that during our Kids Week panel.
Oh, that makes sense.
I remember hearing that too. Yeah.
Yes. Going back to my comments on the Cisco kid earlier, do you think Jeopardy is relying too much on those cutesy clues these days?
No, I love those.
Okay.
They give you another way to figure it out. There are so many times where, why not reward different ways of thinking too?
Exactly. I mean, sometimes I'd play trivia like Learned League or whatever, and I'm thinking, boy, this clue really needs a TOM.
Yes, Learned League.
And Jeopardy's really good at providing one when they need it to be, and I think they look at it, okay, we need a $200 clue here, but this one's really at $2,000 clue level. Throw in a TOM, that'll make it $200 worth.
I mean, they don't want them to go unanswered. It's really, really bad for the show if everybody's just, if there are a lot of triple stumpers. So anything that they can put in to help people figure it out and answer more questions is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing they don't expect they probably expect maybe 0.5% of contestants and viewers to actually know who the CEO of Cisco is.
Mm-hmm.
But throw in the, reference to the Cisco kid, and oh, yeah, that makes sense. Cisco routers.
Yeah.
On the other hand, too, I knew it from the information provided without the Cisco Kid TOM, but seeing the TOM there confirmed it to me that it was Cisco. So that's another good use for it.
Well, the thing is, in terms of router manufacturers, there's D-Link, there's Netgear, and there's Cisco, and so therefore
and Cisco is the number one too, I think.
Yeah.
It's the first name that comes to my mind when I think routers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of that, so you've got you've got other manufacturers. So obviously, and also at the corporate level, Cisco is numbered far and above in terms of network equipment. But that's neither here nor there. The tease out metric was very high, especially with the reference to the war song, which of course goes back to possible weakness in older pop culture for Brennan. Maybe he'll study that. Maybe he'll watch and he'll study that. Speaking of Twitter, I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention that many show staffers have been part of the hashtag Jeopardy live tweet on Tuesday evenings.
Those are fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those have been great. I love that the show is doing those.
Who's been your favorite person?
I really enjoyed Maggie. Yeah, I really enjoyed Maggie.
I thought you were going to say Maggie. I think Maggie was my favorite one too. I can't. Let's put it this way. I can't say I have personally contributed any questions to to it, but I've been watching it. I've been watching the live tweet, and I've enjoyed them. I just feel as though I don't have any questions that I think would add to discussion with them. So I haven't.
And keep in mind too, a lot about the show. A lot of the stuff that they put out is stuff that everybody in this panel knows and knows well, but the average viewer doesn't.
I did think it was funny when Maggie was on, like the hashtag. It was like 2/3 of it was like former contestants saying hi.
Oh yeah, I have heard so much about Maggie.
You're really hoping she's in Kansas City, don't you, David?
Yeah, I'd like to see the Maggie experience for myself.
Oh, I've had the Maggie experience. Maggie was at my first audition.
I've heard, yes.
She had me sing, and she's the. Fun fact: Maggie is a Ricky Nelson fan, so you keep that.
I heard that she's also a Bob Dylan fan too.
Yes, she is.
I think she's a fan of a lot of pop culture related things, and she's as far as I can tell, she's also a fan of Martini. I was it Martinis? No, I think she had just come back from a bunch of margaritas at lunch in Toronto that afternoon. So.
But if she had you sing, and I'd probably mention that I am very knowledgeable in national anthems, she'll probably have me get up and sing one.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yes, you may. Well, you may be prepared. Prepare yourself to sing a national anthem. Maybe the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh yeah, there we go.
My audition is the day before Canada Day, and I'm from Canada, so.
So, if I'm not mistaken, Kristen, you've been doing some decorating with your winnings money as of late?
I guess, we decided to spend the money on redecorating our house. We have a very open floor plan, and we've decided we're not the original owners of the house, and we've decided that we want to change the color that you can see pretty much everywhere in our house, as well as renovate the kitchen. So we actually had a designer come out this morning, and we're gonna start getting ideas together. So yeah, that's my big news on how I'm spending my Jeopardy money.
How do you plan on spending your Jeopardy money, Andy?
How do I plan on spending my Jeopardy money? I'd like to leave
You'd like to what?
I'd like to leave it a secret for July 1st.
Oh,
Oh, that's right, because you have to say at the audition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to give anyone any hints.
At the audition,
it's
they
like,
ask
oh
everybody.
my God, he's in my audition, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna steal his thing.
okay. I'll ask you in about a week and a half,
Yeah, at the
2 weeks
audition.
then.
Oh my gosh, I remember at mine in Philadelphia in October, like almost everybody said, "Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Well, maybe I'll travel." And they want you to build on that. And so Maggie would say, "Great, where's your first stop?" "Oh, um, I don't know. Somewhere in Europe?" You know?
I think the reason that they do that too is to see how good you are at impromptu speaking, because that's pretty much what you do between you and Alex. And if you can answer the questions, what you do with the money with, I don't know. That's the kind of thing that's going to appear on stage. Pretty much the audition is just seeing how you are going to do on stage. They don't. I get the impression they don't really care what you do with the money. You can spend it on hookers and blow for all they care. But as long as you are good at communicating with them and having a conversation with them, then when it comes time to have the same conversation with Alex Trebek about whatever, you'd be good for that.
Justin and I were just talking this morning about how, when during the audition process, they have to extrapolate from how you do at your audition to how you will do on stage when the lights are on and Alex Trebek is right there and the stakes are higher. And, if you're mumbling and if you can't think of anything interesting to say and if you're stumbling over your words and they have to tell you to speak up, if all of that is happening at your audition, they can't help but think that you're not even going to be able to cut it on stage.
Yeah.
So, at your audition, you just need to be relaxed and chill and answer yes and to questions or no but, and not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the audition is for. It's not to see how well you are at trivia. It's to see how well you are at TV and being the kind of person that would make good TV. Yeah.
Because
Right.
guess what? Everyone who makes the audition is good at trivia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But they're auditioning for a game show. People, act like it's this test to see, who America's smartest person is. It's a game show, I mean, it's more intellectual than most game shows, and that definitely plays a role in it, but it is still a game show. They want people to be happy. They want people to be excited. They want, people for whom the money will change their lives, and they want to hear about the money that you win changing your life.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to hear you express that clearly, too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I think I have some ideas as to what I'm going to say on July 1st. I haven't finalized that yet, but I think I have a couple of ideas. So, and I'm sure you have a couple. Sorry, go ahead.
For audition questions, I noticed we had a lot of teachers at my audition, and they were asked if they had a particular teaching style. So if you're a teacher who's going to audition for Jeopardy, I would recommend having an answer ready for that question. What is your teaching style?
Just basically be good at impromptu speaking. I think I've mentioned this a time or two on the panel before, but I'm a member of Toastmasters, and one of the things that they help you with in Toastmasters is being good at impromptu speaking.
Yes.
So if you're not really good at that, free plug here for Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm. I would recommend also, like, on your sheet where you're listing your stories or whatever, I wouldn't, like, go into too much detail about them. Just, like, a brief sentence that they have to ask you about, and then you can expand on it when you speak. Because if you put, like, a whole paragraph for each thing, then what's left to talk about?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I would, I actually, yes. Basically kind of almost like one of those lovely clickbait headlines.
Yes.
That they have.
A good guideline. That's a good guideline.
I would say if you're pretend you're writing clickbait, and then
that's perfect.
That seems like as much as we all hate clickbait headlines, I'm sure.
You'll never, maybe not quite to that extent, but give them something to ask about.
Yeah, definitely.
Local mom has one weird trick for getting on Jeopardy.
You'll never believe what this person said in their audition. Or the listicle. 5 ways to get on Jeopardy.
There we go.
So, I guess do either of you have any questions for anyone else? I should also just check Twitter just in case anyone has left us a message at the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel this afternoon, and it looks like we knew. But I was definitely happy with the discussion so far anyway, that I didn't even need to be like, oh, let's look at the hashtag. But yeah, do you guys have any other questions for each other at this point?
No questions really. I just want to wish you guys both the best of luck, and I am so excited to hear how it goes.
I'll be sure to tell Maggie you say hi.
Yes, please do. Everybody.
I'm sure she remembers each and every person that she's come across, but it's just.
She does.
Oh, actually, knowing Maggie, I'm pretty sure she does remember everyone who comes across her path as a contestant on Jeopardy. So.
Yeah.
So what was your audition experience like, Kristen?
It was in Philadelphia in October, and let's see, the fire alarm went off, and so we all had to kind of like exit the area for a while, so that was kind of awkward. But then let's see, I had Maggie and Karina in my room, and they kept things moving, they kept things a lot of fun. It's a fun experience. I mean, that's just all there really is to say. Even if it ends there, they will make sure you have a good time.
I think David has disconnected very briefly. I'm sure. Yeah, now he's coming back in.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome back, David. Looks like you had some technical issues there.
Yeah, I just pressed the wrong button. Yeah.
I was just saying, my audition, it was it was a lot of fun. I had Maggie and Karina in my room, and they kept things moving and just tried to put people at ease, and it was a good time. If nothing else, to have a good time.
And I would agree with that based on my own experience from my last audition, that we would, I would say one of the better experiences of my life was my first, was that Jeopardy audition.
Yeah.
Of course, in terms of wardrobe, guess what? If you're at an adult audition, you are not auditioning for the college tournament. Do not wear your college sweatshirt.
Well, they say in the paperwork wear something like wear the kind of thing that you would be wearing on the show.
Well, that's my point. He saw that and thought, okay, well, guess what? I think I want to wear my college sweatshirt like a college contestant. And yeah, basically, unfortunately, it was a friend of mine, and I saw him at the audition, and I was like, "You're wearing that?" And needless to say, he did not get the call.
Yeah, I think it shows respect to them. Like if you wear something nice, it shows that you put effort into it, and I think that shows respect to the show and to the people who travel around the country to find contestants.
So, Andy, with your audition experience in 2008, I'm sure you've done a post-mortem on it many times. Is there something that you think is why you didn't get the call from that? That
I think that
you and the rest of us could learn from.
I definitely think that I was lacking in a couple of spots on, thinking on my feet. Maggie, when she... in addition to having me sing, Maggie asked me which nights were quieter in the karaoke business, and I gave an answer that kind of surprised her a little bit. And I don't think I really made my reasoning behind my answer as clear as I could have, which I think I could chalk up to not thinking as well as on my feet. And I definitely think I've learned a lot, and I'm I'd even almost say I'm a much more outgoing person now than I was back in 2008.
And I would say that your experience hosting the Jeopardy live panel too, it really helps with thinking on your feet. I would.
Well, I mean, it helps, but I also have notes here that probably guide me along and make me look like I'm doing a much better job than I. But that might also just me being some some sort of I don't know. But yeah, definitely I have some strategies in mind for this time, especially the no but or yes and for sure. So.
But on the other hand, you can come in with strategies, but you don't want to be disingenuous. You want to be Andy Saunders. And I see Andy Saunders in the Jeopardy live panels, and that's.
Mhm.
I think that would make. I mean, I'm not a contestant coordinator, but that would make good TV. The Andy Saunders I see in the live panel. So you don't want to be anything different than who you are.
Well, of course, yes. I have no intention of not being myself. I'm just,
Yeah.
but I'm also saying for sure that myself, the 2008 Andy was much more introverted than the 2015 version of Andy. So I'm actually feeling very very good about this audition, hoping that I think I will do better at this one than I did 7 years ago.
And I would say make sure that they can tell that you're having fun too. Like,
Yeah.
talk to the other people at the audition. Like, you could tell at my audition that some people were being very standoffish and not talking, and other people were talking and getting along and joking around. And guess what? The people who were talking and joking around, I've seen on the show.
I mean, heck, you're there for Jeopardy, for heaven's sake. That's exciting. Come on.
Yeah, be happy. Go sit up front and talk to people in the, in the waiting area, in like the holding area before they put you in the audition rooms, and just make sure they know you're having a good time when they want you to like shout out an answer. Shout out an answer. That we had like a whole table in like the big room before they put us in the like smaller audition rooms, and it was a whole table of guys, and like they weren't clapping and they weren't shouting and they weren't cheering, and Maggie kept calling them out. And did they start? No. I haven't seen any of them on the show.
Yep, that's definitely something that you can learn from if you've been watching these. And at this point, do we have any other audition tips? Because we're getting almost.
How many more auditions are there? They've done Boston and Tampa and Atlanta so far, right?
Yeah. I don't know how many more.
Well, there's 7 cities, so that would mean 4. That would be Kansas City, Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, if I remember correctly.
That is true. And I'm wondering what question they're going to ask, being like, oh, which area person? Are they going to be like, oh, who remember, where they ask about, because I know they asked at a Toronto audition in 2008, they asked about Doug Hickton, who had recently come second in the Tournament of Champions.
Oh, yeah.
Any famous Kansas Cityans that have been on? I guess I gotta study.
I think yes, Laura Lorson. She's the NPR host who was on a couple of just around Kristen's time.
She was the alternate. Yeah, she is a really, really neat person.
So yes, she is definitely something that they may ask if you're interested. If they'd be like, yes, can you name this person? Here's a Jeopardy hat if you can, or something like that. So.
Oh, I want a Jeopardy hat.
So yes, Laura Lorson is her name. I hope for your sake that when I see you in person on July 1st or July 30th, David, that you have a Jeopardy hat for showing who she is. So at this point, I do want to say that our next live panel coming up next weekend. I'm not entirely sure what date yet, but that will be coming up soon. A hint as to possible guests next time. We have somebody who has been on. We may be having somebody who has been on both Jeopardy and 500 Questions. We may also have somebody, if you follow the Jeopardy crew on Twitter. We have one of the curators of one of the famous Jeopardy Twitter accounts that follow and tweet along. We may have him on the next live panel talking about his account and what he does. So keep posted on that. I'd also at this point definitely like to thank David and Kristen for coming on and talking. I thought the discussion this afternoon was excellent, and
perhaps maybe next time you can also get some of the people that have been on the show. I know that those always make really good guests to hear what's.
Trust me, the attempt was made, but sometimes the scheduling doesn't quite work out. So
I'm just putting in my 2 cents as a viewer as well.
Of course, but it's still nice to have people talk about the show, I would say. But yep, at this point, I'd say it's just about time for us to log off for another week. And so for David, Kristen, Jeannie, and everyone here at thejeopardyfan.com, once again, I am Andy Saunders. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night. Have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend.